Welcome to Faith Over Breakfast. You are listening to a podcast by Pastor Eric Deepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. If you enjoy Faith Over Breakfast, we encourage you to rate it on the Apple Podcast app, on Spotify, or Google Play. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. You've been listening to Faith Over Breakfast, but you haven't been because we're starting Faith Over Breakfast right now. This is our preview. And I'm Pastor Eric, and across from me is Pastor Andy. And
hey.
Here we are. And you guys are familiar with us because you are our 70 to 100 listeners. Or as the average says, it's 130 downloads per episode. So
cool.
Our 130 people who hang out with us. And
the fact that you go and look at that information sounds very unrelaxing to me, but it must be relaxing to you, Eric, to find that data.
Well, it was, I just thought it was interesting because every so often Buzzsprout gives you an award and says, congratulations, 250 episodes.
Wow. What a
we
good
have
feeling.
289 episodes.
Wow.
It's a lot of, even I'm talking for a long time.
Wow. What are we going to do for the 300th?
Oh, man. I'm excited.
Something big.
We should do something big for the 300 episodes.
Okay. We should actually go out somewhere and eat on the mic again.
That's right. Faith Over Breakfast.
Real Faith Over Breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
There it is.
Let's do it. That's what we're going to do.
All right.
So today we talked about time management, resting. We jump into eldership, discipleship, marriage,
all of it.
Parenting.
Yeah.
Vacation.
TV.
And as you usually say, hang on, because the back end of the podcast gets real good.
Yeah, I think it's meaty on the back end.
Yeah.
Not that you shouldn't listen to the front end, because
But you said, last podcast, you said my favorite part, back end of the podcast.
It's true.
It's good stuff.
It's true. Yep. All right.
Yeah. So enjoy.
Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, Eric wants to talk about time management and how'd you phrase it?
I don't know.
Time management. You said there was something else you said.
Yeah.
Rest.
How we approach time management, our schedules, and rest. This is a question from my wife.
But the trouble is we don't have much time to do this because I am late.
You're late.
Yeah, and how perfect. You know what? And I knew you put this topic out there, and I fought being late just a little less.
Because it's a good subject.
Because I thought, we're talking about it's the narrative, the picture paints itself, right?
So let me ask you this question.
Uh-huh.
Do you, in all honesty, think that you are too busy?
Sometimes.
Okay, so not always.
No. And the funny thing, I was just saying this to you, and I think this is a great thing to do. Many times when I do hear that I am too busy from other people.
Right.
Okay. I think there's a couple things there. But I've noticed something, and that is that often when the other person is telling me I'm too busy, they're also sort of hoping I'll do something with them.
Okay.
Or for them.
Okay.
Or that they want to be done. And that's a very interesting dynamic. Not always true, but I had a situation recently where a guy kind of said, "You are too busy." But my dynamic with him is that I'm often feeling the need to move to the next because there's a desire for a lot of my time. So sometimes when I'm moving beyond that time, I am not going to do a thing where I am extremely busy in my mind. I'm actually doing something more restful.
Right.
Now, sometimes, and this is what is work, right? Here's the philosophy of it. What is work? Sometimes to me, to sit in a coffee shop and work on my sermon is, of the various possibilities of what I could do during a day, one of the most restful ideas.
Okay.
Though to somebody else, that would not be restful.
Right.
I remember in high school, my friend Pike, in English class, we would have a free writing period at the beginning, 10 minutes. You just had to write anything. And then some people could share it. That was the best part of my day. I just got to brain dump and be creative, and it would lift a load off of my shoulders. For him, worst part of his day. That was so stressful. So that's another question. What brings you rest to someone else might not be. So there's so much here.
So let's just kind of go at some simple things first. How many hours working from your coffee shop relaxation to your managing your businesses that you do to the actual counseling administration, like how many hours of work do you think you put in?
I have no idea. Here's the other thing. I want to make a quick statement. If you are listening to this and you go, am I that person he was talking about? That the answer is you're not.
And you are.
And you are.
You are both. It is all of you.
That person.
You are the listener.
Is a metaphor. Yeah. Okay.
I'm curious about this.
My weeks are not exactly the same.
Yeah, so let's say a month. Do you think you average 40, 50, or 60 hours a week working?
To be totally honest, Eric,
you have no idea.
I have no idea. I never calculate it. I just so don't that I don't know.
So one of the greatest things
I could talk about this week. Yeah. Come back to me. Say what you're going to say. Then let's just talk.
So
this week.
Then this is good. So one of the things that my mentor, we were in college ministry, and what he would have me do for college students who said they were really busy.
Yeah, do the 15-minute breakdown of the day.
Just break the whole week down.
Yep, I've done this, and I've suggested
see how many hours you actually spend. Because what happens a lot of times with college students was you have to show them, there are less hours in the day than you're saying you're spending in this day.
Yes.
Like there's this conflation of time and what exactly are you doing and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and that brings up the rest question. I did that when I was in my 20s or something. I had a leader hand me one of those sheets. Yeah. I've suggested it to people because I've heard from young leaders, my own daughter, statements about how busy they are. And I know that what they mean by busy, or I think it's a feeling.
Sure.
I don't think it's actually time, because you might look at the time in the day that you actually have available to do things, and it turns out your focused work time is like 4 hours.
Right. And there's mandatory time, especially when you have to go to your McDonald's job from X to X. So those hours are just not yours. They've been given for money. But I think it was helpful, and for me, probably really for the first 15 years of working for the church, I would try at least 3 or 4 times a year to sit down and build out a week and just put the hours down to see how many hours I was actually spending, and were they productive hours? Were they restful hours? Or was I and was I actually working as many hours as I thought, or was I working too many hours?
I'm a lover of structure.
Me too.
And I think that old sheet that was handed to me was part of that journey to loving structure.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about my last 2 weeks here in a second, because now I'm thinking that could be helpful because they're different. But my most enjoyable week is when I follow the structure, and it's in my Google Calendar. And people freak out when they see my Google Calendar, by the way. There's like 6 calendars that populate to it, including my wife's and including a church building one. So it looks crazy, but they're just like, oh yeah, you have so many things going on. But part of me is like, no, actually what's happening here is I know where things are. And so I also have a better idea of when I can not do something. So one of my favorite things is to leave a gap in a day in which I will walk around. So, I might be like, look at that. On Thursday from 3 to 4, I don't have to do this or that. I have optional time, and every once in a while, I'll just go walk around and do nothing. And then I roll into my next meeting and But if I didn't have the calendar and the structure, I wouldn't allot that. So that helps me for one thing. But yeah, And I also try to move blocks. Like if I have one that has to move, somebody is in crisis and I need to meet with them on Monday morning, which I try to not do. But if I really must, then I can move a thing and go, okay, well then I'm not going to put anything back in that place. I'm going to leave that block.
Yeah.
But what I might do with that block might surprise a person. I might go right because that relaxes me. And if they were to observe me, it would look like work, potentially.
Right.
So, anyway, is it a good time to talk last 2 weeks?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Then we'll talk to you.
I was not happy with 2 weeks ago. That felt like it got too full.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, the things that came together on that week, I had been a little less attentive to. I didn't entirely have options on a couple of them. There were just a few too many things. One of which was a final exam in a class that I'm taking. That the truth is, I'm taking it because I just have to get through it because I have a goal that includes getting these classes done. I'm not in it. My heart's not in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that piece felt like the straw that was breaking the camel's back, where I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And doing it felt very laborious, very, very laborious to me. And that week I got to the end and went, I didn't like this week. I didn't like how many things came together, and I especially didn't like that test. Right. So that was last week. This week, so yesterday, here's part of why I am late.
Yeah.
Okay. So yesterday I had a class up in Phoenix. I had to get up at 3:50 a.m. and drive up there. But I had also looked, I like baseball, the Fall League, which is this unique little thing to Arizona. It's in its final week. I'm not able to go to any more games, so I thought, I'm going to go to the evening Fall League game up in Phoenix and kind of make a little day of it. So I went up and did my class. I had a couple work things in the morning, and then I went to an Indian food place that I saw on the map that I wanted to check out. And I sat at a coffee shop next to the ballpark, and I worked on my story that I'm enjoying doing. And then I went over to the ballpark early and hung around and watched all the warm-ups. And then I found two people I've gotten to know in Phoenix who like to go to games, and I sat with them, and we chatted and hung around a little bit after and drove home and listened to a podcast. And as far as like my experience of rest went, wonderful day. That was great. Now, for somebody else, that would have been a lot.
Right.
Or something. But that was how this week I stitched in something.
Those were restful things.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
But it's not the same. It's, some of those, I find rest sometimes in an opportunistic moment to do something. And that's not true for others. I think might need more of a, the traditional day off at your house.
Sure.
Yeah. And that doesn't really do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So tell me about your pick 2 weeks or something. And how does it work for you?
Well, I too am a very structured person. Live a very structured life. I think in some ways I haven't really met any successful entrepreneurs or people who do things, church planters, which though I am done in a sense planting a church because this is almost 25 years. I'm still in the mindset of a church planter. Yeah. That's what I did. So you have to have structure or you just kind of go crazy. Right?
I think you go crazy and people can't track with you.
They can't. But my structure is a little different in that it's more the rhythms that I live out.
Yeah.
I struggle a little bit with calendars that are not visual.
Uh-huh.
So
I like a written one. I have a cheesy written one in my backpack too.
Yeah. So I need one that I walk by all the time. So I have a big whiteboard that at least keeps track of what's happening in my home. So I know who's going to be home for dinner, what the big events are.
If I don't do that, things get clumped too much, and I don't realize it because I'm looking at a digital one.
A digital one, yeah. No, so anyway, I think for me, like, I'm not sure. Like, let me just to kind of give you a look at things. So heading into this weekend, I mean, even today. So I was up at 6. I had a meeting.
Yeah.
When I was done with that meeting, I did the finances for the village.
Yeah.
Then you show up.
Yeah.
Then I go to another meeting. And then I go to another meeting.
Yeah.
And then I go to another meeting. Then I go to another meeting. And then I'm going to go to dinner with some people at our church. So there's so that's I start at 6.
Yeah.
I probably won't be home till 9.
Yeah.
There isn't any spot in my day where I didn't do village work.
Yeah.
So you figure out the hours there, 6 to 9. Tomorrow, I will get up and spend 6 hours on a sermon.
Yeah.
And then another 10 hours on Sunday. So from a Friday to Sunday, if I'm preaching, boom, that's a big thing. And then you put 6 hours in Wednesday for prepping that sermon. So because usually I do 10 to 12 hours. That's how much when I'm preaching is what it takes. So I'm already getting close to a 40-hour week, and that doesn't include my Tuesday staff meetings. It doesn't include anything that happened on Thursday. So I'm always just in that schedule, and I keep that schedule pretty rigidly, putting in like 45, 50 hours a week. Just right there. That's it. So any other extracurricular that happens around that weights down on that schedule. So I do run a 50 to 55 hour, sometimes 60 hour week. That's what I do. I know it's what I do. So what are some of the things that I do to manage it, and what happens? The weaknesses of it is not great at answering emails.
Right.
As we've said on this podcast, you want something done, call me.
Yeah.
And that's the best. It's like call, text, email if you really want things done.
And I'm
email, text, call. Right. That's fine.
I don't mind a call, but actually, if I'm trying to do downtime, like, I'm just gonna not answer that call. I guess maybe I would go email, call, text, because at least with call you can leave your message and I'll get back to you.
Right, and that's what I tell people. If you leave me a message, I am way more likely to just call you right back when I get the space to do that. Whereas a text, I was reading, and my text messages, if you text me, I mean, an hour later, your text message will be so far on down that, and I just don't like reading those things on digital.
Yeah. For me, I don't, I look at it, and the problem is then it's in my mind, and I feel like if I don't address this now, I'm going to forget about it. And then I feel this need to address it now, and then I feel resentful that I have to address this right now while I'm trying to watch a leisurely baseball game. And then I find myself annoyed, and I don't want to be annoyed because I care about this person. So then what I sometimes do is I screenshot that text and I email it to myself, and I go, much better.
That's hilarious. Yeah, so I think the thing for me is then to ask the question, well, how do I rest? Because resting, so there's a couple of ways that I have tried to build that in. Mm-hmm. One is I try to make sure that I have at least one serious date with my wife every week. Yeah. That kind of bumps me out of things.
Yeah.
If I'm getting overwhelmed by things, I will just clear my schedule. So I have no problem just texting everybody and saying I'm canceling. Or
you've done that to me before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're probably more prone to that than I am.
I'll just cancel you. I mean, because I'm just like I can't do it, and then I'll go watch a movie, or do something around the house. The other thing I've learned is that I probably quarterly now will get out of town.
Yeah,
and just spend 3 days with my wife, sitting in the hot tub, going on walks, spending time with God, reassessing life, adjusting.
That's your reset.
And that's my reset. And that's how I do that. And so those have been the ways that I've survived things. Also, we built it into our church. So December comes and we shut down all meetings. So I won't have meeting after meeting. It'll just be 2.5 weeks of planning and enjoying each other and spending a lot of time studying and reading, catching up on all the reading that I don't have time to do. And then we take the last 2 weeks off rather than preaching. Yeah. So that's just, December is a nice place to rest. So that's how I build those things in. But sometimes it can end up in a month where I'm just like, I put 60 hours a week every week, and then there's a crisis, and you're like, oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then people are from the denomination are wanting me to do stuff, and I'm like, I can't have time to do this. I can't even think of this. I can't even barely remember your name, and you want me to do this thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So for me, so what I learned recently is that I am introverted, and introverts get what you might. It's almost like you get drunk on dopamine. So our brains are not designed like extroverts' brains in the sense that we can't handle that much dopamine. So we end up with headaches. We feel dizzy. We start getting depressed if we have too much people and too much.
Yeah. And I'm in many ways your opposite in that I get depressed if I'm just sitting in the house.
Yeah.
Or honestly, if I'm just like wading through conversations that I feel are complex. So by extroverted, I'm more like just social, like, and not in a, if I were a therapist, there was a little bit, this happens to so many people, right? You go through something in your life and you go to some therapy or counseling appointments. You go, I think I would do this. I would have, oh my gosh, I would have died. Like those type of situations, I believe in them, and I even enjoy being a part of them some. But if I do too much of it, I get very weary, very, very weary. So I have to do very bite-sized bits of that. I was going to ask, so I was thinking about, there's just very different, there's introvert, extrovert. I've learned about myself that I'm generally extroverted, but if I want, there's like a deep reflective side of me, and I wonder how much of this comes from being an only child as well, where I want just absolute alone time and like uninterrupted, but I like to read or write or something during that time. But that's been named in me in a few different assessments I've taken where you are extroverted, but then there's this mode you have where you go work things out, and it's very important to you. It's very important to me to have a chance to work things out, and that is like solo time for me. And so that's unique, and I think for a long time I felt bad about that. Like and it feels a little weird because I do enjoy being around people. But I've learned that that's something I really, if I don't get that, I start to get depressed and frustrated. Like I don't have that space to work things out. So, I think that solo time for me has become far more important than I realized. That's part of what I did yesterday. I had some of that Monday. On a good week, of
course, you still found some people that you're connected to.
Yeah, part of the time, but it was light.
Right.
It was, and actually, I kind of walked away beaming. It was just simple. It was just simple and light, and my favorite version of the week is rolling out a Sunday. I actually like to think about my sermon on Monday, but I take Sunday is our sleep-in day. It's great at home,
right? Because you guys don't have two services.
We don't, and it's beautiful. By the way, we mentioned the idea of having two services at Mission at our members meeting, and boy, was I relieved at how many people were absolutely disinterested in that. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, neither were ours.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Holy Spirit was very interested.
Yeah, well, that is unfortunate. Yeah. I just love Sunday's the day there's no alarm clock at all. Sometimes I wake up at 7 and I read a book on the couch. Other days, I roll out of bed and I go, oh my goodness, it's noon. Cool. I guess I needed more sleep. And not everybody can do that. In our family we can, and it's a wonderful thing. And it's like, okay, if you wake up earlier and you want to cook some breakfast, go for it. If you don't, sure, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just open-ended.
Yeah.
And then I know about 1 o'clock I'm going to head out, read my sermon one more time at Crave Coffee, and head to the church. That's what I do. Then Monday morning, I do a similar, I like to kind of have, especially now that our daughter doesn't need rides to school, I take a similar approach to Monday. chill in the morning. But I like to start my sermon prep around lunchtime or just after on Monday, because I've just preached one or heard one or whatever. So I like to spend my second half of Monday on that. Tuesday's the full day, a lot of meetings. After lunch, I do research for the sermon because I've just gotten feedback on my general thoughts from Monday from our team. And so I do some research and try to get kind of some scholarly input. And if there's a word study I really need to do, I feel like I'm unclear on something, I just try to knock that out and get some notes in a document for myself. Sometimes once a month we have an elders meeting, Tuesday. So that can be a longer day or week. Wednesday's generally more of a full day. Tuesday and Wednesday are pretty full for me. And then Thursday, it varies. The whole class in Phoenix thing is an interesting dynamic, but
sure,
Thursdays vary. And I found that Fridays tend to pick up some stuff. I love taking Saturday off, but that's often if an event falls or something.
It's hard to take a Saturday off.
It's hard to take a Saturday off as a pastor. But I found that sometimes what I'll do is that one's just, it's either all on, like there's an event and you're doing it, or sometimes that falls on a Friday. And I just try to say, okay, if that happens one week, let's try not to do it the next. Try to balance it out. Like this Thursday that was generally, I mean, I was not even in Tucson. I didn't make any appointments with anybody at all.
Sure.
Yeah, that felt counterbalancey. I did the same thing Monday. I didn't have any meetings this Monday because that week before felt rough.
Yeah.
So, but that's I guess I don't add up. You know what? If I were to add up and average my hours, that feels like work. Anything that involves math, anything that involves reports, anything that involves numbers, and I do have to do a little of it, and that is the stuff that just wears me down. So if you said, what's your average work week? I'd be like, well, it just got worse now that you asked me that, and I have to think about my average work week.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's helpful at least once in a while to do, just to know how many hours you're putting in on those things. I mean, it's helpful for me because Sue and I do ministry together, and my wife gets a tiny stipend to actually run the administrative parts, but she probably puts in a good 20 hours a week just in pastoring.
Yeah, and that is good.
Phone calls. So
good to be able to exhibit.
Right, because she's not being paid.
Right.
And so I think, well, who else? Like, if how would it work if you were as well trained as your wife, but she has the job, and then you came and they paid you a small stipend to support her, or to like. She wouldn't be saying, "Oh yeah, I need to do 36 hours." Like, no, my husband's covering a big chunk of my job. I don't have to like. Some of that, even with our other pastors, I'm like, hey, if your wife goes out and meets with one of the ladies in discipleship, that's you working. Yeah. Right? I mean, certainly there's a few hours. Like I always tell people, if you're a pastor and you're trying to keep a 40-hour week, that's not fair to your elders because your elders keep a 40-hour week.
And then they do.
Then they go to church. Yeah. And on top of that, they're doing probably 10 hours a week or a week. Often, if they're going to a Bible study, leading a Bible study, going to elder meetings, meeting someone for coffee. So as a pastor, you probably should put in 50 hours. But at the same time, what's not happening is that elder's wife is not working alongside in the same way as she,
right. Well, this all depends.
And this all depends. But if your wife is in doing ministry, you should count some of her time towards what you're doing. Because
absolutely. I mean, I sort of think it shouldn't be your time. It should be viewed as her time doing your job.
Yes, that's
what it actually is.
I love that. It's her time doing your job. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I think not to go off into a different space, but from all the research that I have been able to do when it comes to like elders in the early church. It seems to me that what was being put forward was that a husband and a wife were an elder team, and where you kind of get this flavor a little bit out of Titus, where they're using the elder word for woman and man in the teaching and stuff. But we also know from Graves and all that kind of stuff is that there's this idea that these two people of stature are living out ministry with the authority of elder, where the woman is doing ministry majority with the women and the man is doing ministry the majority with the men. But it's this joint thing, and that's partly why Paul probably is saying it needs to be a man of one wife, and he's talking about what the family should look like, because it's not this isolate. You're not throwing this man out there.
Well, what the cultures are just so different. We think in individual terms.
Yes.
We just do.
Yeah.
What is the man doing? Mm-hmm. What is the woman doing? That is very our time.
Yes.
Right? And so you see, okay, so here's one that's generally doesn't feel as spicy. Family decision making, right? So we just taught the Philippian jailer. Mm-hmm. And so he receives the word of the Lord after the dramatic earthquake and everything, and the prisoner's not escaping, and he and his household are saved. And we read that and we go, well, they must have come home and fully taught the whole household. No, that's not how they did it. Generally, decision if the head of house, you would say
paterfamilias.
Uh-huh. So, but here's the thing. They didn't view that as oppressive at all. That wasn't viewed as like, oh, I have to do this. There was a real sense of togetherness, a deep sense of togetherness. And in one way that can sound, that can strike fear in the modern person that goes, oh my, like these other people don't have a choice. But the other thing is it's far more communal and connected than we realize. Sure. So when we want to talk about these divisions of spousal work or whatever, that's such a modern question. I mean, it used to be that generally you shared a lot of the work. Wendell Berry talks about this with farming and writing. He was once kind of scathed for his wife being his editor, like she was below him, and he wrote back and he's like, you are such a product of your time. This is just, she's a great editor. I'm a writer. We live in the same house. I take out the trash. This is, we do it all together. This is not
right. Yeah.
The whole roles, even the idea of roles is quite the modern thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. I mean, in some ways, yes.
Well, sure. Yeah. I think they probably thought a lot more about class roles than we do.
Right. Because yes. And even in that society, like, the majority of the time, right, the father holds this position. But if the father were to die, and it's a wealthy family, that woman could move into that father position, and then she holds all that authority, and everybody considers her the patra familia, like she's the one who sets so she could convert the whole family and say, hey, we're folling this.
Well,
religion.
Lydia in Philippi did the same for her household.
Yeah,
and maybe she was a widow, maybe not. But I've been doing a little bit of dabbling around. I became interested in this printer who printed Tyndale's Bible, and I ended up learning, this is in the 1500s, so much different time, but he dies, and then the whole large family business was run by his wife from there on. That wasn't strange. They didn't need a new man to come in and take it over. Right. That was the natural progression.
Right.
But why? Probably because they were doing it together the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting. But so that does kind of play into time management, especially as a pastor. But I also think, like, in parenting and the way you're not just organizing your own schedule, but if you're married, you're beginning to look at the pressures of your schedule, the pressures of your wife's schedule, the kids' schedule. Like, when does the family rest? How does the family rest? How does the family stop? And I think what's interesting is maybe to have a little bit of conversation as we land the plane about rest, because you said some things that I thought were interesting, like there are particular activities that are restful for you. But when you think from a biblical perspective, there is this like stop working, right? And become more about the worship and celebration of God and also of like family. Like, so I'm wondering, do you think there's a value to just being bored
Yes.
in order to rest?
Sure. It's okay. I want to, there's two things I want to say about that. I do. And that was instilled in me. That was part of my only child experience. And interestingly, being an only child with not a lot of entertainment options due to not having much money, it was a gift now that I look back on it. And my mom used to say to me, I would say, like, I'm bored. And she'd say, good. You need to learn to be bored. Go outside, you know?
Such a Gen X kind of way to
Yeah. Yeah. And but that wasn't, did I do nothing outside? No. I think I'm the creative person I am because of that. Right. Because what I did is I went outside and I built a little thing and I dreamed about fixing up my neighbor's junked car that was sitting in their yard and looked at what could I do to that, and grabbed my basketball and, you know, worked on my crossover and that's what I did. I did things.
Right.
So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is even boredom usually results in
some kind of creative activity.
Yeah. So there's that. Then, I mean, the other thing too, I think, is just every family dynamic is different. Like, I think it took my wife and I a long time, and we're still settling into, we have very different experiences of like what it would be to relax. Mm-hmm. Very, very different.
Right.
And in fact, our versions of relax are maybe unrelaxing to the other. So, okay, what do you do with that? You can be annoyed. You can wish it was different, you know, or you can learn this other person who you love and realize, like, okay, my relax might actually stress them out. Their relax might stress me out. So is there a meeting point? Is there something we can find to do together that is mutually relaxing, or is there a deal we can come up with where we can, you know, do this? So one of the things I think for my wife and I that we came up with was, generally, I do not like watching television. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. She does like it much more than I do. But the least annoying version of television to me is something like basketball. I enjoy basketball.
Sure.
And my wife also generally enjoys basketball, though I've noticed that when we put it on, she doesn't really watch it. She does other things in the room, usually. But that has still become we're together. We're both feeling more of a relaxedness and a downtimeness. I wouldn't have guessed that. You know, that wouldn't be, if I were just to choose a downtime, that wouldn't be the one. But that was one that we've discovered with time brings us together and so on. But there's a lot of figuring that out with two people, the family and with children. You know, when my daughter was in the house, there was a lot of learning her and her various stages and what this is going to look like, right? Sure. So I've heard, I think I'm pushing on against a thing. There's a template version of this I've heard. Like, some people have said, you should be having family dinner.
Yeah, I'm talking to one of them right now.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, from my general experience with our family, didn't work. It was not good. We tried, and it was one of the hardest things. I'm not saying it wasn't,
which was good,
but it absolutely wasn't relaxing, because every element of it was maybe led to stress, you know? So for us, our best night, we did a birthday party for my mom and did our best version, which was that my wife picked up Chick-fil-A, which everybody was excited about. My daughter came over. She's now moved out. And my mom told a story that she was wanting to tell, and we watched a movie together. Felt very good for us. Now, I think for another family, that would not be the same. It would be, we cooked and we sat down and we asked questions. Yeah, I don't know. I push against the template. The thing that works for you is going to work for somebody else. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think you need to know the people in the room.
I think certainly you always have outliers. And especially when they look at the data, as we've learned in a sermon recently, like, yes, the whole dinner thing has correlation.
Yeah.
Right? But
I could see an argument where doing that work is what should be done.
Well, and I think,
but it would not be. I'm just trying to say, if the goal is to lead to relaxation, it doesn't do it.
If eating together is relaxation, and
to some it is, yeah,
then that's fine. I don't think that would be the goal to eating together, but that's a whole different route of the conversation, which I'd be happy to enter into. But so I would just add one other option to your thing to ponder.
Sure.
Kind of like my perspective on that would be that when you get married, there is that negotiation because everybody's got a makeup. And so there's going to be something that's just purely and naturally relaxing for you. But I would argue that over time, what is relaxing to your wife or vice versa should become relaxing to you. Because usually what relaxation in American thinking is external regulation. But if you can learn to internally regulate yourself, and then you can enjoy and be relaxed in what the person enjoys themselves, right? You can live through their enjoyment and be present and be relaxed.
Yes.
And enjoy it. But that takes like this discipline and this like, I'm going to give of self. And then maybe all of a sudden the things that didn't used to relax you all of a sudden do.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's that third option is, how do I surrender myself completely to this person's way of being?
Yeah. So you're saying you're trying to get me to watch more TV.
I would suggest that you lose yourself in the shows that she really enjoys. Yeah. And in her enjoyment. And
all right, that's it, world. I'm going to go watch TV.
And vice versa. If she should lose herself in baseball.
Right. She does do some of that. Yeah.
She should know more about baseball than you do.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's like the optimum. The optimum, the goal that up here is like, oh, the person who loves you knows what you love better than you do in order to care for you.
Yeah.
You know more about whatever her favorite show is, which is
not sure right now.
Has been in the past.
Oh gosh, there's been a lot of them. I'm not sure.
Pick one.
Yeah.
Come on.
I don't know. Yeah, that's generally the activity when I'm not there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I honestly appreciate, that it's not the activity when I'm there.
Sure.
It's not. It doesn't feel connecting or relaxing. So I appreciate that. To me, that's been her movement, is that those shows don't need to be on if I'm home.
Sure.
So that's felt like love.
And that is, and that would be.
Yeah.
Though I would say that like the cool thing would be you to come home and actually know like, hey, I would love to watch this particular show at this time with you and hear you tell me why it's so cool and be part of it with you.
The only conversation I can remember on that is there have been some we've watched. Actually, my favorite was back when Father Brown was on TV. We liked Father Brown together. And
that's cool.
Yeah, that was great. But there was the one I can remember was the direction that The Office went. So there was a lot of Office, and some of the earlier ones we were watching together, and it was pretty funny. But like some of them started to get to where I was like, this isn't impacting me well. Like I'm laughing at things and types of people, and it's making me feel crummy inside, like spiritually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we had to have that conversation where it's like, for whatever reason, I'm going to put it on myself.
Well, that's fair.
This isn't good. I can't go here.
Yeah.
I can't do this. It's not like it's polluting me. It's making me into someone I don't feel right about. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that was one where it was like, can we not, and I think, that was.
Well, I know you don't obviously like the TV thing.
Right.
But here, let me offer you, because I would love to get your feedback on this.
Yeah.
So there's a 6-episode series on YouTube called The Promised Land.
Uh-huh.
And it is a very well done sitcom of Israel's coming out of Egypt and them building the tabernacle.
Sure.
So it's that little short period.
Yeah.
It's done in office style. So you get the camera shots. There's very awareness that the camera's there. People are giving commentary. The acting is spectacular. The question is, does a sitcom actually, is it able to capture what's actually happening and at the same time be light and funny?
Right.
And I'm curious as to what you think about it, because I think this is kind of in the vein of the Chosen, and you made me watch some Chosen episodes and talk about it. So I would love it if you would watch some Promised Land episodes and watch them with your wife, because now and tell me what you think and what she thought. They're real short, so they're like 25 minutes, so it's not a big commitment.
We could probably do that. It's funny because I was just thinking we did watch Chosen for a little while. We both actually enjoyed Stranger Things, so there's that.
I haven't even seen that.
So the
all
new
5 seasons
and Cobra Kai. Our whole family liked watching Cobra Kai.
Wow.
So
haven't seen that either.
So those are some that we all enjoyed. But I think there is a difference. Cobra Kai, Stranger Things. Stranger Things, I get in an analytical mode with some shows that I think changes the dynamic. And I don't think that's my wife's draw to. She likes to go to get.
Yeah, to escape. And it doesn't work for me like that. You get analytical.
That's why with The Office, I wasn't escaping. I was thinking, and finding the thinking was taking me into places I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And so that's part of my thing with TV is what it's doing to me.
Right.
And I'm very attuned to it, and I begin to feel very conflicted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's not fun anymore. So sometimes it doesn't some things don't do that to me. Others do.
Can we end around back at rest? Because one of the things that while you were talking, I remembered, for me, my parents did not necessarily take Sunday as Sabbath. We went to church, and I remember we had people over. It was it's a
lot of work. Yeah.
Different rhythm, but it wasn't the same. And then we moved to Indiana when I was in the 6th grade. And my parents had these really good friends whom sometimes I would go over to their house on Sundays, a lot it seemed. And they had mandatory 2-hour rest time. And they would go in their bedroom and go to bed, and they would make all of us, including the guests, go into the rooms and be utterly quiet for 2 hours. So it's like 4 kids.
Fun.
And that was what they did. And I talked to Rod, and he had very similar, experiences growing up where the Sabbath had rest built in and mandatory rest for the kids. And I was like, that's not something I've ever enforced with my children, but that's all taking this serious of we will have this rest where you can't do anything. You can't read a book. You can't go outside and be creative. You just have to lay down and rest.
That's interesting.
And what do you think about that, and what does that do to you? And is that,
something with it doesn't quite sit right. I get
it's the disciplined practice of rest.
Right. No, and I know I'm kind of conflicted on it, because part of me thinks, if you're going to be disciplined, there's that. For us, and the beauty of the Sunday night service and all that is it hasn't felt like you must do that. It's felt very much like you get to. And I wonder if my daughter, having moved out, I wonder what her relationship to that is now, if she still does it. I kind of guess she might, but I'm not sure. Having a job is she's having to communicate things to her job. But I think for my wife and I and her, when it was there, we looked forward to it. It wasn't like, oh, we have to go in our room and be quiet. It was like, if we wake up, we wake up. If we don't wake up, we don't.
The no alarm thing.
The no alarm. And then, but it wasn't like you can't read a book.
Right.
But it was more like you get to choose the thing that's going to just be relaxing to you.
Yeah.
And we were all in the house together, but it was the best version was you get to choose. And yeah, I don't know. So it feels very different than you get home from church and you have to go in your room and do nothing. I don't know. It feels different to me.
Yeah.
Just in the, and
Well,
maybe that's the
lunch,
Westerner
yeah.
in me that wants the choice as opposed to
Right.
the discipline. I don't know.
Well, I was just kind of pondering this thing of like, we talk about rest, but the way we've been talking about rest is doing a thing. Like maybe not doing a set of things, but doing another thing.
Well, okay. Is there any other way?
Well,
like, I mean, we're not Buddhist. We're not getting to a place of nothingness. Like,
right.
That how, and even, that even possible?
Well, what if when we listed out disciplines and we list out prayer? Okay, well, how do I do prayer? I go to a place and I speak or I pray.
We do tend to emphasize the thing you will do.
So rest. Could rest be an action where it's like, okay, I will now rest. I will lay my body down. Like my body needs to stop. And it won't stop unless I lay it down and stop it.
Yeah.
And so is it similar? Is there like some value to me just saying I am going to completely stop, even though I'd like to read a book or I'd like to go do this cool, relaxing thing, paint figures or whatever it is that I enjoy doing?
Now, of course, and you'll know more about this than me, but people's inward ability or experience of that, like to some people, that is a very stressful thing, right?
Yeah.
And I think to me, if it was so if you and I were in a cabin on Mount Lemmon and there was a chair out on the cool patio, I would love to go sit in that chair and stare up at the trees and listen to the birds personally.
Right.
Sounds great. I think there are other people who their mind would race, and I'm not saying that's not an experience you shouldn't do. I'm just saying it isn't going to present as the same, as relaxing or as restful.
Is maybe like, now we're doing all these studies of what happens to your brain when you detox from phones and things like that. Some of that is maybe it's just saying I need detoxification.
Yeah.
I can't, my brain, it is going to race.
Yep.
But this detox is good. This discipline of not being compelled by other things might be a good part of it.
And I would agree with that. I'm just saying it will, if what you're hoping for when you go rest is an experience of peace,
right?
You may not get it, at least not for a while. Like I've noted, I love silent retreats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan. I'm probably going to hopefully be involved in more of them coming up in the future. So that's something I truly enjoy. But I did even learn for myself, the first one I ever did, it's like I flew in from out of town, got to the place, and it was like, okay, in the morning we're gonna be silent. Okay. And I found myself walking around this beautiful monastery just thinking about life and stress, and like everything came into my mind, all the stressors, all the things I was dealing with, right? Which is fine.
It's the beginning of a silent retreat.
The beginning of a silent retreat. And that is normal, I've heard from others. But by the time I actually felt like I, to some degree, passed through that period, it was over.
Yeah. They're not long enough.
Yeah. So what I learned the next time I did one was that I needed to have some buffer that helped me, almost like if you think about a manual transmission, like downshifting.
Yeah.
So like, okay, third feels like a lurch, but it's a process of downshiftting, and second's going to lurch you again, and then first, and then you can stop.
Right.
And that building that, even thinking of the travel in those terms, like, okay, if I'm going on a silent retreat, I'm going to stop checking my email and doing anything that pertains to things that stress me out when I get on the plane. And then I'm going to take that plane ride to go into third.
Right.
And then maybe even into second. And then I can as I move into this silence, it's the stuff's there, but it's not hitting me, for the first time, or whatever. And that learning, I think, has helped those times be deeper. But yeah, and I personally think I get there quicker than some. I think for some people that's, or people just don't know how. I mean, how many people other than ministers really get to do a lot of silent retreats, right? You could. But what most of us do is we go on vacation, which is the most work you're going to do all year. That's a lot of work. Vacations work.
Depends on what kind of vacation you
They're
take.
all work, man. Every single vacation. When you vacate, that's work, man. That's work. That's my... there's the Andes.
Yeah.
Because why? What are you doing? You're getting people to get out the door and in a car and figure out when to pee.
Oh, yeah.
And
the kids.
And you feed them now, and you've got to make sure the vehicle is maintained, and you got to get to places on time, and you've got to unpack the car, and then you've got to get your things out, and then you have to find your underwear, and then you got to figure out why the shower in this Airbnb won't turn on, and how do you get the water hot? And this is work, man.
This is probably why I go to the same place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't go I go to a grocery store, then the Airbnb. I have 2 pairs of clothes. There's a washing and dryer. And I never leave that place except to walk through the neighborhood every day, maybe morning and evening with my wife.
Yeah. See, that's of course better. But the type of vacation I observe most people taking is really touring.
Touring, yeah, going on tour.
And that is okay. And I enjoy an adventure and a tour. I like that. But I would not call it rest.
Yeah. Well, this has been interesting.
Has it? Okay.
I think it may be helpful.
Okay.
I feel like maybe we touched a couple topics that we may want to dive into a little later,
Yeah.
The value of eating dinner together.
Mm-hmm. We have talked about that before.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
Maybe we,
And I think my general thing with you is, Eric, that's wonderful, and I agree with you. I wish it worked the same for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Well, sure, and it doesn't work for everybody, but we can get into that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
Yeah. If you could fix that, Eric, would you? Would you just fix me and my dinner time routine? Could you take over my life? Actually, on your day off, if you could enter into my life.
So
and
train, can we here and maybe
kidding.
This is good, and we'll just land real fast here. But it brings up a question for me, as a pastor. When you believe like this is a good thing, and you get the kind of response that you're giving me, what do you do? What is your thought of you're like, yes, I know X person is resistant to this and they don't believe it works for them, but I believe that it would be good for them. What do you do?
Well, I was doing that in a way, tongue in cheek, but in a way, it's part of the pastoral question is people want you to help them live.
Yeah.
Right?
Help me. Help you. Help me.
Like and that's, so kind of what I'm saying is like, okay, so Pastor Eric, you have this conviction. You're telling me it could be better, or it could be valuable, or, and I'm going, okay, if that's so important to you,
right,
what are you going to do to, I'm telling you that we've tried it. It didn't go, it, wasn't relaxing or whatever.
Right, well,
so what's your responsibility? This is a big, I think, rest question for pastors. Your responsibility in my life to get me to value and do what you do.
Right. So whatever
is there any? Do you just exhibit it before me?
Well, what? So my wife was. We were listening in on Erwin McManus's. He did a first episode. He has this thing where he gets pastors together and they have these big conversations. And one of the things they were talking about is it used to be that I could say, "Hey, Andy, like I want you. I'm going to help you move into leadership, and you just need to kind of watch and follow me and imitate me." And that that people are like, yeah, like I'm going to watch, I'm going to imitate. What you do is what I should do. That motto was understood almost implicitly.
Right.
Now that's not understood at all.
No.
In fact, it's what you do only fits in the line of influencers that I'm watching, and maybe I'm going to kind of smorgasbord my life a little bit, and then I'm going to not know what to do because I don't have an actual guide. And so I think it's a new battle in some sense, because 15, 20 years, even 15 years ago, but 20 years ago, you would just be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to try to imitate you for a long period of time and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to that. I think
we should probably also,
that could be a whole nother episode.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Yeah.
But I guess the whole, okay, this would be to circle back all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sometimes when I feel like people are telling me that I need to, they're saying you seem really busy. And I was saying the hope that I can feel it sometimes. I'm not positive and every time, but I can feel it, is they're going, because I need you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, that's the exact thing that would make me more busy, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as a pastor, that is really complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And we'll leave it at that.
Uh-huh.
We're going to leave you guys at a dissonant note as we land the plane. Land the plane there. All right. Well, you've been listening to Faith Over Breakfast with Pastor Eric Siepen and Pastor Andy Littleton. Please share us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thank you.